Can you beat Ghost of Tsushima with no upgrades in Act 2? To start, if this is your first time finding the channel, please refer back to my other video that follows my pain and suffering in Act 1. If you're returning to watch Act 2, welcome back. I got a lot of helpful criticism on Act 1, the biggest of which was that the video was quiet, which should now be fixed. The second one is that I should have some live commentary. So, that's exactly what I did.
Help! Help me!
In the top left corner, on the left side, we have the deaths from last video. And the second number will be the deaths from this video, added up to my total deaths. So I was actually going to do that for the deaths, but I decided while editing that I didn't like it, so we're just going to have the total deaths from both video 1 and video 2 in the top left corner, rather than having the whole addition problem in the top left. You can catch me on Twitch at The Real Spider Eye if you like this kind of content. Remember to like and subscribe. Now, one last disclaimer. Originally, I wasn't allowed to upgrade on this screen at all, but due to a quest, I was forced to. But I'll discuss it more when we get to that point in the video. For now, let's get into it. Starting off on the scene that we ended on in Act 1, Yuna drags us over to the princess that we saved, which is my uncle. At his side, we venture out into the newly unlocked land. Obviously, we are forced to fight the first set of enemies we see, which will become a common trait with Lord Shimura because of his noble ideologies. These ideologies directly contrast my need for slow, stealth-oriented gameplay, which, to emphasize the difficulty increase, I died a few times. Thankfully, I found a corpse that was riddled with arrows that I then reused. The arrows, that is, not the corpse. Mixed with stampeding over the enemies on horseback, I killed them all. Directly after that fight, our uncle says with an unbelievable level of bravado that we should take on the nearby fort. So that's exactly what we do. Which for the most part didn't suck, other than taking a very long time. The strategy for the fort was rather simple. Beeline to the nearest archers, slaughter them, and leave my uncle to fight all the enemies I didn't want to.
I'm a stare down while we're mid-fight. That's not usually an effective strategy.
After clearing the fort, Yuna shows up again, and being the flower she is, she lets us know one of the other samurai clans that my uncle had ratioed in earlier times, before this war, could be of assistance. Now, here's where I was forced to take an upgrade, because there were 2 cutscenes back to back. I couldn't avoid it. I ended up having to pick which was worse out of the 2 choices. A perfect parry, doing double damage with a proper parry and making bosses easier, or a dodge roll negating all fire enemies for the rest of the game. After a lot of deliberation, I chose deflection, as my damage is so low, double damage on what few attacks I can parry means nothing. And as for bosses, well, when we get there you'll see it made things easier, but I still died plenty of times. Now back to it. We take the fort as our own, and I meet the warrior monk named Norio. Is he important? Maybe, but in Act 2 he isn't. So, after listening to his sob story, I ran away faster than a motorcyclist runs from the cops, finally getting to see the objective for Act 2. Retake Castle Shimura. With our objective finally laid out, I head out to help the Yarikawa clan with Yuna and Taka. They grew up in the town, so they'll likely be the spokesperson for our cause. I arrive at the settlement, and as Taka puts it,
"Sneak through the biggest Mongol camp I've ever seen?"
Yarikawa doesn't stand a chance. But there is a hidden entrance to get inside, which we get to without too much trouble. Once inside, we're questioned, but they let us continue because they need all the help they can get. We talk around a bit and find out that the best archers from the town were sent out, so we decide to go gather them. Upon finding the archers, they request our help with their ambush to save some prisoners. So we do, and Taka even joins us. Not that he does much though. Now, during my ambush on the Mongols, I didn't die much, only 3 times. And honestly, I thought this quest was going to be super easy. But man, was I wrong. Because in the next section, pain comparable to the Ryozu fight from last video was on full display.
Step off! Step off! Shit! They jumping me! They jumping me! Save your boy!
At first, it was super easy. Me and Yuna got drunk right before the big battle. Fantastic plan, I know. So I woke up in the middle of the night with a hangover. Then I rushed out to face the Mongols with the warriors of Yarikawa at my side. And it went well! Well enough, it got my hopes up. Until the creation of a little man known as Marco Polo sent this game into a fast downhill spiral of death and despair. What did my small merchant boy create, you may ask? Trebuchets. That's what he made. Trebuchets. Giant, lumbering war machines of the early 13th century, hurling fireballs into the encampment. It's not a big deal, as you could usually easily avoid them. And you'd be right. Except I was single-handedly tasked with destroying them. I made a little image to show you how it worked. On the left and the right, there were 2 swordsmen and 2 archers. One archer shot fire arrows, and the other shot 3 arrows at once. But this is how they were different. The left side also had a brute, and the right side had a spearman. In this encounter, there is no place to stealth and hide. You must assault it front on. In doing so, I lost a ridiculous amount of times. I was essentially in Groundhog Day with how repetitive it was. But after about 30 minutes, I defeated the left side trebuchet. Unfortunately, it took me another hour to destroy the right trebuchet. But I did it! And usually after struggling like this, I would give you a video of me doing it in real time. But it took me so long on my successful run that it might as well be its own video. At the very least, I can give you a live reaction though.
Oh my. Oh, destroy it. I'm so done. I'm so done. I'm so done with that section.
If my groans of anguish weren't enough to convince you of the struggling that I endured, the amount of times I died should convince you.
But fret not, those of you who still wanted a cinematic clip. I have a treat for you. After destroying the trebuchets and sneaking back in to assassinate everyone who opposed me, I got a boss fight as a final punch in the gut to solidify how rough this quest was. Here it is with a nice live reaction at the end.
Victory. That is what the preachers cry from the spires of their temples. What commanders tell the soldiers in their service.
Yes!
At this point, if dying was money, I'd be Scrooge McDuck. But I did unlock 2 things. The Ghost Stance, which basically gives me 3 free kills after every 6 people I kill without taking damage, and the ability to slaughter a leader unit, causing fear in nearby lesser units. After effectively saving the town, I give a riveting speech, inspiring the people to fight alongside me and my goal of getting my Pookie Bear to his castle. With that done, I dart off again to go rally Temuge Cove. On the way, I pass the Samurai Duel area, and I know how much you blood-hungry viewers would enjoy watching me dying trying to beat them. But if I were to beat them, it would give me upgrades, and I couldn't have that. so unfortunately I pass it by. As I approach a Mugi cave, I snake through a tight valley before finding a small town and getting told I look like a Ronin.
Alrighty.
Oh, Ronin. State your business.
I'm not a Ronin. My name is Jin Sakai. Let the seas boil. Let the stars fall. Though it takes the last drop of my blood.
The man who called me a Ronin then directs me to a lady named Sanjo, who then directs me to the smuggler Goro. Why do we need a smuggler? Well, it's to expand the Japanese steel market that Talk has been producing for us.
Death is a preferable alternative to communism.
It's also to petition the Shogun for reinforcements, but let's be fair. We've been doing so well that we definitely don't need reinforcements. Goro gives us a map of where his fishing vessel is hidden, so we head out to Lord Shimura's hunting camp to regroup with him and Goro to get Goro prepared to sail to the mainland. Unfortunately, Goro doesn't believe it's realistic for him to get out to the open sea, as there's too many eyes on the water. So our uncle recommends that we attack the nearby Mongol port that is alongside the beach, so as to attract the attention of the boats. That's what we do, and the mere idea of this fight had me nervous, shaking in my boots even. But I didn't die much, and when I actually got inside the fort, I just ran past everyone, straight to the Hwacha that was firing on us. After dealing with the archers defending the Hwacha, we're prompted to use it ourselves, so that's what we do. We fire out into the ships in the bay, clearing the path for Goro to escape. I did fail at this a few times, but I didn't actually die, so that death counter ain't going up. The next step on the clipboard is to go back to my childhood home to gather my father's armor. I head out to my old home in Omni Village. Arriving in the dead of night, which is clearly the best time to approach people, as I learned in the last video. Startling a lady named Yuriko. She was a servant of my father and a caretaker of me when I was young. Once she realizes who I am, she apologizes and tells me where I can find my father's armor. But first I must show respect to my father's grave. So I wandered over to his grave and composed a haiku.
I mourn my father. His grave close, his soul distant. Now I am alone.
It's beautiful, isn't it? I agree, it was lovely. Unfortunately, we have to get back to killing, as Straw Hats assault our home. It was a fairly easy standoff, but during it I was forced to use my father's armor. As I completed it, I decided, screw the challenge, this is my favorite armor in the game, and I'll wear it. Okay, never mind. A passing note by Yuriko about poisoning rats sparks my imagination, so I request her poison recipe to use on the Mongols. She reluctantly agrees to give it to me, sending me to gather the two ingredients. The first is a reed to use as a blow dart gun, which I gather at the Mongol fort up the river. The other one is wolfsbane, the flower that'll actually become the poison. After gathering the ingredients with minor difficulties, I'm forced to actually use them on some Straw Hats, hunting specifically for Yuriko. And, yeah. I'm pretty sure this stuff is a war crime. Good thing that we won't be using it again. I complete the quest and head to Lord Shimura's camp to regroup and begin our assault on Shimura's castle. I arrive just so he can send me away again, this time to go stop Ryozu, and the Straw Hat Ronin that are planning on attacking our flank once the fight starts. I run off and begin scouting Ryozu's camp. Midway through the scouting, male wife Taka arrives, begging to help. I give in and allow him to draw away a good portion of the camp's occupants. I break into the camp, and after about 10 minutes of slowly circling the camp, picking off the enemies one by one, I finally get into the main sanctuary, coming face to face with Ryozu himself. He offers us a deal, join him in the Khan. In exchange, our people won't suffer. I deny him, obviously, because that would mean giving up my monopoly on the Japanese steel market. In retaliation, one of his henchmen bonks me, and I wake up tied to a wooden post with Taka tied up as well? Apparently he came back for me because I had been gone for 2 days or something. In a desperate bid to escape, I attempt to wriggle free of my shackles, but I'm not quick enough, as the Khan appears and asks me to join him personally. I deny it once again because I'm not really ready to give up the monopoly yet. So he gives Taka my sword, telling Taka that if he kills me, his working conditions in the forge will be lessened, and he'll be allowed more than 5 pennies plus an occasional ham sandwich an hour. Luckily for me, though, I planned for this eventuality, imprinting the code word Xenophon into his mind so he could never betray me. In a desperate last-ditch attempt, Taka attacks the Khan, being a much more skilled combatant, easily parries and counters Taka, beheading him in front of us. The Khan mocks us for a moment before leaving the area. Once the coast is clear, I release myself. Mourning and enraged over Taka's death, my main supplier of Japanese steel is now dead, and my male wife as well, I strike out in rage, swearing to kill everyone left in the encampment, which conveniently happens to be the remainder of the Straw Hat Ronin. America. America has been at war for 93% of its lifespan. A country founded after the creation of the musket. A country that, in its early days, fought to overthrow tyranny and control by the British. I stand here now, surrounded by traitors and tyranny. I may not have the musket that my forefathers once used, but I do have range capabilities. With 222 years of combat born and bred into me, you best believe I use that bow to its fullest. You could have compared the Mongols by the time I was done to Grandma's pincushion. Even when Yuna arrived, bringing a wave of Mongol reinforcements, that bow fired straight. The arrows flew with the precision only rifling could give, and with my last arrow striking, my rage soothes, and the morning begins as Yuna and I must bury Taka's body. In a rage, I take the most direct way back to Lord Shimura's camp. Once I arrive, I begin the final quest of Act 2. First, I talk to my uncle, and he says, "You are my son, Anakin," or something like that, before we arrive at the castle. After arriving at the castle, sections 1, 2, and 3 were really easy, mostly because I had an actual army this time, dying only once. I pushed into the innermost stronghold and performed fear tactics just in time for my uncle to see. He shakes his finger at us, but doesn't stop us yet as we push into the last 3 sections. Similar to the first 3 sections, sections 4, 5, and 6 are easy. I only die once because I was getting a bit too confident. I also get to use the Hwacha, which is always fun, but that was the only thing of note in these sections. After these sections, we are supposed to cross a bridge to attack the center keep. But before we can, the Khan lights horses, you heard me right, horses, on fire while making them run across the bridge with explosives. And the result is no more bridge. I get upset with my uncle as soldiers needlessly died due to my uncle's strict honor code. He slaps me, consolidating my resolve to undermine him. I leave the building and head over to Pookie Bear Yuna, sharing with her my plan to poison the Mongols. She is over the moon with the idea, so she and I gather wolfsbane till night approaches. With my bundles of poison and a new set of armor, a last parting gift from Taka. Nope. I grapple and climb my way through the encampment. Getting on top of one of the 2 massive buildings, I survey the keep and notice their fermented milk storage, which I pick as my target. Making my way through, I kill as few as possible so as to not raise any alarms. Once I make it to the milk storage, I poison it and wait for the magic to happen. Needless to say, it worked magic alright. I've walked through the masses of dead bodies, reminiscent of the very beginning of the journey. I continue inside the main structure to finish off any remaining Mongols, only to come face to face with Ryozu, the arch-traitor, a 13th century Judas, the Marcus Brutus to my Caesar, the Chaos to my Anathema. Despite his desperate pleas to be saved, to be redeemed, I deny him such opportunities, for all he has done. With a heavy heart, we fight, and I died a lot, but I did eventually kill him. This is that clip now.
I don't know what you had in mind, but here we stand on opposing sides. Let's go to war. Let's go to war! We arm ourselves with the
stop me, Ryozu.
Let's go to war. Let's go to war. Everything you say, everything you do, you push it in, and you cut me down, and you cut me down. Screaming at the ones we love, like we forgot who we can.
I'll never forgive you.
On the grounds where we feel safe. Do we feel safe? Do we feel safe? Hush, my baby, make no sound. Maybe we can wait each other out. It's a cold war. Let's go to war! With every settled score, I thought that fighting with meant fighting for.
Actually, way easier than I thought it was gonna be. Way easier.
Goodbye, Ryozu.
Despite all we have done and the hundreds of lives saved, our uncle despises the measures we took and imprisons me as my character accepts the loss of his name, Jin Sakai, and fully embraces the mantle of the Ghost. Unfortunately, that brings a wrap to Act 2 of Ghost of Tsushima. The death count is on screen now. I streamed all of Act 2 on my Twitch at TheRealSpiderEye. The same goes for my Instagram. I'm excited to be heading into Act 3, and until next time, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.